And as for rules, we didn't carry military manuals around with us. We were out on the veldt, fighting the Boer, the way he fought us. I'll tell you what rule we applied, sir. We applied Rule 303. We caught them, and we shot them under Rule 303.
Hi everyone. Hi. Beautiful day out there. Nice and sunny. So this is a little brief idea to let you know my itinerary, which was finalised today for my tours in South Africa on the trail of the Boer. I got this book in the mail today, The War with Johnny Boer. Now, this book was recommended by Alan in Gauteng. He'll be taking me around for a couple of weekends and then an overnighter. It's pretty damn heavy, so might have to carry that on the plane and hand luggage. Anyway, I'm able to share with you, you know, some of the itineraries I have, or all of them actually. The Boer War dragged on for, what, 3 years, and was fought on 10,000 or more koppies all over South Africa, from the Cape to the Free State to Natal to the Transvaal, even over to you know, Bechuanaland and right up to Rhodesia. So obviously I'm not going to be able to see even a fraction of the places I've jotted down, although I'll be able to see a fair few. There'll be some places I'll do on my own, for instance up to Louis Trichardt to see where the Bushveld Carbineers worked out at Fort Edward. That's a thing I can do on my own, and also across to Mafeking is a trip I'll do on my own. So let's start with Alan in Gauteng, or the Transvaal. So one day to do the following: a visit Vlakfontein, where Martin Leek won the first of his 2 VCs. Then we travel to Wilmensrust to view the battle site. Now that's what I'm really looking forward to, the Wilmensrust disaster. Not much there anymore, but you'll be able to get an idea of what happened. And then we travel to Middelburg to visit the memorial to the Australians killed at Wilmensrust. From Wilmensrust to the cemetery in Middelburg is a distance of about 70 kilometres. From Middelburg back to where I'll be staying in Boksburg, about 150 kilometres, will take an hour and a half. Spending at least half an hour at the 3 sites, stopping for comfort, breaks and coffee, certainly a full day. Another day, he likes to do them on weekends because of the traffic, he says, so I've scheduled them for weekends generally. So the next tour, a 1-day tour of battle sites in the Magaliesberg, the guerrilla phase of the war, where we will cover 7 battles, 1 cemetery and 2 places of interest with Boer War relevance. At one of these battles, Sergeant Francis of the Victorian Mounted Rifles was killed. We also view the site of the Battle of Noordgedacht and of Oliphant's Neck. Johnny Boer, pages 317 and 369, and Uitval Neck, Johnny Boer, page 255. I do this tour as one of my standard 1-day tours. And then we've got the next one, which is a whole day as well, a separate day. We'll visit Diamond Hill. That was the last pitched battle of the Boer War before it went into the guerrilla phase. We'll visit the Breaker Morant's grave in Pretoria. Cool. We'll go to Melrove's house in Pretoria. That's where President Kruger lived. That was one of the last places I went with Brian Gould and Johan van Rensburg before I came back. I remember Johan, or Brian, got the president's top hat, almost walked out with it. So we'll also visit where the peace treaty was signed, and then up to Warmbaths, where you can walk around a blockhouse, cool, and visit the battle site where Lieutenant Willie and Trooper Bisdee of the Tasmanian Imperial Bushmen won their VCs. This is another full day covering around 400 kilometres, about 7 hours. Now we've got an overnighter. This is a 3-day tour which I've squeezed into 1 day. So 1 day visit, day 1, visit a concentration camp and the cemetery, visit 3 battle sites. One is Belfast, where the Victoria Mounted Rifles were posted under Colonel Tom Price before the Battle of Bergendal. which we visit on day 2, Johnny Boer, pages 323, 324. We visit 2 British cemeteries. We travel over the Long Tom Pass and see the site where the last Long Tom shell was fired. See a replica of a Long Tom gun. We visit an area of interest conflict, Dullstroom, during the war. If you get a copy of Johnny Boer, page 468, mentions the involvement of the Victorians in the area of Dullstroom. Should you decide to do this tour, the overnight accommodation will cost you 700. That's for dinner, bed and breakfast, 700 Rand. We'll stay over at Waterval Onder, where Private Force of the 1st West Australian Mountain Infantry won the Distinguished Conduct Medal. Johnny Boer again. Day 2, we visit Paul Kruger's house where he stayed before he left the country into exile. Day 2, we visit 5 cemeteries. We visit 3 battle sites, including Burgendo, which was the last set-piece battle of the war and the only battle where all 4 Long Toms were in action. One of the battle sites is a site of the first battle of the First Boer War. And then we visit the site of the prisoner of war camp at Noordgedacht. Johnny Boer, page 326. And that's Alan in Gauteng, or Transvaal, as I remember it. All right, so then I plan to go down to KwaZulu, Natal, and that's where Pat comes in. So this is what he suggested. Now I don't have the dates booked with him, but he seemed pretty flexible. So he says day 1, arrive in Dundee. So we're talking Natal now, down towards Durban. Arrive in Dundee. Day 2, Ishindwana and Rorke's Drift. Well, they're the Zulu war sites. Day 3, Kambula, Blood River Poort and Blood River. Once again, Zulu war sites, except for Blood River Poort, which is Boer War. Day 4, Dundee, which you can largely do on your own, having been oriented by now. Penn Simmons' grave at St James, Penn Simmons' mortal wound, the Boer positions in Impati, British campsite, field hospital and cemetery at Mahanyo, military graves at Town Cemetery. Day 5, Elandslaagte battle. The remainder of the day in Ladysmith, the Ladysmith Siege Museum. Day 6, out and about in Ladysmith, Platteland, General White's HQ, Anglican Church, Dr. Stark's mishap, the Royal Hotel, the officers' mess during the siege, in Tombi, Camp Hospital and the military cemetery. Day 7, Spiernkop, possibly also Rangeworthy and Spearman's military cemetery, lunch at Spiernkop Lodge, the site of General Buller's HQ. Day 8, Winston Churchill's capture site, the Colenso gun positions, Closton to Geller Heights, including Onderbroekspruit, Fort Wiley, Winds Hill West, East and Central, Terrace Hill, in Skilling or Terrace Hill Cemetery, Pom Pom Bridge, Boer Trenches, Railway and Peters Hill and cemeteries. Definitely need a guide. After that you should be about battled out. Now he hasn't mentioned, but he did in another email, I want to see where the grave of Freddie Roberts. He's the only son of Lord Roberts, who was the Commander-in-Chief, the Lion of Kandahar, a hero of the Victorian British Empire. Lord Roberts lost his only son at the Battle of Colenso, and there is a grave and a marker. He also hasn't mentioned where we lost the Prince Imperial, where the Zulus dragged him off his horse and speared him. Remember, Napoleon's descendant. So I'll follow up on those with him. Now lastly, excuse me, I'll swing over to the Orange Free State from Natal to Bloemfontein, and I'll meet up with a fellow called Tony. And Tony is going to, has drawn me up an itinerary, and he's given me a quote, 20,000 Rand, which is about $1,600. That's for 6 days, including including accommodation. Transport I'll provide. I'm going to hire a car, an SUV, I hope. So this is what Tony says. This tour encompasses the various battlefields of the Northern Cape, where Boer and Brit came to blows from 1899 to 1902. We will firstly head down to Colesberg, cool, and visit the battlefields of West Australia Hill, the 9th of February 1900, and Pink Hill, the 12th of February 1900. Now, Pink Hill is where Major Eddie was killed. You want to see Major Eddie? Go back to the episode on Beaufort. I love my Major Eddie. We'll then proceed further down to the provincial capital of the Northern Cape and a city steeped in history, namely Kimberley, where the diamonds come from. Day 1, Monday the 20th of November, I meet you at your accommodation in Bloemfontein and we do a morning tour of the city. There are 2 places I wish to take you, namely Naval Hill and the Anglo-Boer War Museum. After lunch we will proceed through to Colesberg, 250 kilometres, where we'll stay for 3 nights. Day 2, we explore the battlefields in order of battle. We'll first head southeast to the battlefield of West Australia Hill, where 27 Australians held off 400 Boers. We then proceed northwest of the town and proceed to Pink Hill, where a bloody battle ensued in which there were casualties and wounded men amongst the Australians. It was in this battle that Major George Eddie perished. Day 3, today we take a drive out to Arundel, which was General French's headquarters, and then on to Navapoort, which was a major railway junction at the time. Now that's another place that I've mentioned to him I'm interested in. It was at Navapoort that we lost Captain Salmon from Talbot. You want to know about Captain Salmon? Have a look at the Talbot episode. Okay, so then we go on to day 4, which is the 23rd of November. We take the drive up to Kimberley. The road is in poor condition, he's warning me. Once we get south of Kimberley, we'll make a stop at the battlefields of Belmont and Grassprom. Now, Belmont we've seen mentioned, I think, in the St. Arnaud episode. Day 5, Friday the 24th of November. Today we explore the town of Kimberley and we discover one of the reasons why this town was besieged and how the garrison held out. We'll also visit Marsfontein, which was one of the battles the British lost in Black Week, where they had their backsides booted by the Boers. And we'll see how the Boer forces inflicted a heavy defeat on the British. Day 6, our final day, we take leave of Kimberley and we head on back to Bloemfontein. En route, where we'll stop at the Paardeberg battlefield, in which the Boer forces suffered a gallant defeat to the British. That's where General Cronje was trapped up against the riverbank, and they were being pounded by British artillery until they surrendered and were sent off to Ceylon, actually, as prisoners of war. They spent the rest of the war in Ceylon, those Boers. So as you can see, good stuff, cool stuff. If I can pull it off, I'll be pretty impressed. So yeah, what have we got now? We've got not even 2 weeks. Saturday week, I should be flying out. So I've got a bit on my plate. I've been getting too excited, thinking, well, I'll arrive and then the next day I'll hire a car and then I'll be off to Mafeking that afternoon. I think I'm going to need to just dial it back a little bit, maybe wait a day or 2, just relax, hang out with Brian a bit, and then maybe go to Mafeking on the Monday. If I arrive on the Monday, leave it a week to acclimatise, figure out how to use the bank and the shopping centres, and then maybe take myself up to Mafeking on the Monday. And I was going to hire the SUV sort of for the whole 2 months. That's $6,500, which Brian, fortunately my husband's very good with money, so he said, you really need an SUV for all that time. Why not just hire the cars as you need them? So if I need a little Mini Cooper just to get to Mafeking and then maybe up to Louis Trichardt, use that, and then when I go on tour down south, then get the SUV. Just thoughts. All right, looking forward to it. Are you coming with me? Are you? Bye.